Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday, May 24th Maplewood City Council meeting. I have to say, things are loosening up. I am pleased to report that I went to a first in-person event at the Philippine Center in Maplewood, excuse me, this last weekend, and it was really rather fun for those of us who are fully vaccinated to not have a mask on. We certainly followed guidelines, but it was a really nice event and an opportunity to be with other people in person. So I am looking forward to that and being with staff and with my fellow council members. July is coming up very soon. We have announced that we are returning to in-person meetings in July. That will be our city council and our city commissioners as well. Excuse me. We also have announced that we are reopening most of the city services starting July 6th, except for renewing licenses. And I still understand that you'll still need to make an appointment in order to do that. I thought it would be good because there seems to be some confusion about how this is going to work in terms of hybrid meetings and when that can happen. What does that look like? And so I think we've asked Mr. Beatty if he would weigh in and give us just a little bit more information. I know I've run into some city commissioners. They've had questions about that. What does that look like? And I think if we can maybe clear up some of that. I know City Manager Coleman has sent out an email to all of our commissioners, but I think it's a good idea if we all just gather some additional information on what this is going to look like. Mr. Beatty.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Council. This is sort of a follow-up, I suppose, from the discussion that we started last week. It's the mayor's call as to whether meetings will be in person or remote. And that's what we've been doing now for the last 15 months or so. So what the mayor is talking about is revoking her earlier determination and returning city council and other meetings to in-person meetings. And therefore the statute that we've been relying on for the last 15 months will no longer be in play. I think what's being, some of the confusion is there is another statute that some of you may be familiar with, which can play a limited role post going back to in-person meetings. There is another portion of the statute which is sometimes invoked. It has nothing to do with COVID. It allows council members and other members to attend meetings remotely. It often comes up when people are on vacation or on a business trip and wish to attend a meeting when they're out of town. That comes with a lot of caveats. At least one member has to be present at City Hall. All council members need to be able to see and hear one another and all the testimony. But the other provision that is usually the deal breaker is that all the locations from which council members attend have to be open to the public. And so the typical situation is someone's out of town and wants to be able to attend a council meeting from his or her hotel room, and that's not really open to the public. So it often doesn't work. Statute has been modified recently so that after July 1st, which is what will apply to us because we're going to stay with remote meetings through July. But after July 1st, the requirement that people attend meetings from locations that are open to the public will be suspended, but there are still some limitations that will only apply while the statewide emergency is still in effect or within 60 days of its termination. And that's really at the governor's call. Secondly, attending remotely from a non-public location is going to depend on advice from a healthcare professional. In other words, you're not going to be able to decide that yourself. You're going to have to receive advice from some healthcare professional that that's important for your health or your family's health. And thirdly, you're only going to be able to do that 3 times. So some limited ability to continue to attend meetings remotely, but sort of got a use by date on that, because that's probably going to expire end of the summer or early fall if the governor if the governor ends the statewide emergency sometime this summer.
Thank you, Mr. Beatty. I think that there will continue to be questions, and I think the more that we can get information out there, I know that we're planning on putting something in the living, I believe. Is that correct, Ms. Coleman?
Yes, Mayor, it'll be in the next issue.
Thank you. So that the more information we can get out there, the more this will be clear to people as we make this important transition back into live meetings. But it's something I think that we can all look forward to. I know I am. It'll be nice to be back in council chambers with staff and with my fellow council members. So council members, with that, we are going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Sint, would you please do our roll call for us?
Councilmember Knudsen.
Here.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Here.
Councilmember Cave.
Here.
Councilmember Juniman.
Here.
Mayor Abrams.
I'm here as well. Council members, we need to approve our agenda tonight. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Knudsen, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion?
Mayor, I have a council presentation.
And what is that?
An award.
Okay. And anyone else? Hearing none, then let's go to a roll call vote. We'll use the same order we used in our workshop. Councilmember Knudsen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Let's move on to the approval of the minutes. First, we have the May 10th, 2021 City Council Workshop Meeting Minutes. Is there a motion?
I motion approval.
Second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve the City Council Workshop Meeting Minutes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then we'll go to a vote. Councilmember Knudsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Moving on to the May 10th, 2021 City Council meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I'll motion approval.
Second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve the May 10th, 2021 City Council meeting minutes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then let's move to a vote. Councilmember Knudsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
And Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Moving on to appointments and presentations, administrative presentations. Ms. Coleman, this is your topic. Would you take over?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. The council calendar is meant to just be a planning tool for identified items that will be on our upcoming council work sessions and council agenda items. On June 14th at our workshop, we will hear from Perkins and Will with a report back on where they're at with the Ponds and Battle Creek Development Review. They have met with the Ramsey County Board a week or two ago, and we'll kind of hear a little bit more about that, and then start to map out with the council the schedule for wrapping this up. So we'll be looking at a time frame for decision-making points for the council, and also just have another discussion about it amongst yourselves with material that will be given to you that evening. And from what I hear from Jeff, there isn't that much change from the last time it was presented, but I'm sure there are more documented conversations and the meeting with the board results to share with you. At the council meeting, we'll have our first look at the 2022-2026 capital improvement plan to just start that dialogue with you. And then on June 28th at the workshop, we will continue our discussion of the ARP allocations, and we'll have Washington County, the consultants working with them on the Highway 36 corridor transit study, which includes Highway 36 from Stillwater out to 35E. And then on the council meeting, Mr. Thompson will be bringing for your review and discussion the administrative hearing process ordinance. So those are the things that we have identified on those two agendas. In addition, tonight, I am going to add, based on our workshop topic, the scheduling of the HEDC and City Council EDA workshop for one of the meetings in July. And I will be working with Lois and Jeff and the HEDC folks to get that scheduled. In terms of upcoming community events, there are 3 left in the month of May, which are community outreach events with our police department, fire and police personnel. They'll be at Maple Ponds, a couple of different Maplewood apartments, Maple Ponds, Rolling Hills, and you can see that calendar in your packet. The personnel, they show up and hand out snacks for kids and interact with families in those developments for about 45 minutes at each location. So if you're interested in popping in on one of those, that calendar is in your packet for you to consider that. And Mayor, with that, I don't have anything else. I'm happy to entertain any issues or concerns that the council would like to bring up for staff to work on or look into you for further clarification.
Thank you for that report. Councilmember Knudsen,
No questions.
Councilmember Villavicencio,
None at this time. Thank you.
Councilmember Cave,
No, thank you.
Councilmember Juniman.
No, thank you.
Okay, moving on to council presentations. Councilmember Juniman, you had one item, an award.
Yes, the city of Maplewood is receiving yet another environmental award. We are getting ever better known, and we're doing our due diligence and stewardship. We are receiving the Global Electronics Council Award, which has to do with the purchase of electronic equipment, the disposal of it, and other habits, work habits that help to reduce energy use and greenhouse gases. And the most outstanding of us, we should thank our IT people, because it's the way we purchase computers and phones and so on as energy efficient, and make sure that the old ones are recycled and reused properly is a outstanding quality here. Paper usage and reduction and recycled content paper used in City Hall or in all city facilities. And then just as an example of the kinds of things they look at, reduced energy use for us in this last year was enough to power 75 homes for a year, and reduced greenhouse gas emissions was enough to remove 39 cars from the road for a year. So it gives you an idea of what, when you put your mind to it, what you can start to do. So we congratulate anybody who has anything to do with this, particularly environmental staff and IT staff. And we are walking the walk. And we're being recognized.
Thank you for that report. That's great news, great news. Moving on to the consent agenda, we have 7 items. Would someone like to make a motion?
I move approval of consent agenda items G1 through 7.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave, consent agenda items G1 through 7. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then we'll vote. Councilmember Knutson,
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio,
Aye.
Councilmember Cave,
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. We have no public hearing tonight, and we have no unfinished business. We have 2 items of new business. The massage center license for Live Active Therapy. Ms. Sint, this is yours. Would you like to make your presentation, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. So tonight you're going to be considering a new massage center license. Rebecca Edwards is requesting approval of a massage center license for Live Active Therapy to be located at 2875 White Bear Avenue, Suite 107. That's the Hazelwood Professional Center building that's south of Beam on White Bear Avenue. Ms. Edwards will be the owner, manager, and therapist at this time. The background investigation was conducted on her, and Sergeant Steiner has met with her on general expectations and rules of operating a massage center, and nothing has been identified that would prohibit the issuance of the license. So upon approval from council tonight, and once the remaining city department approvals have been received, we will issue the massage center license to her. So with that, we're looking for a motion to approve the issuance of a massage center license for Live Active Therapy at 2875 White Bear Avenue, Suite 107. And Ms. Edwards, I believe, is on the line if you have any questions for her. Or me.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sint. Ms. Edwards, would you like to make any comments to the council?
If I may, Mayor,
Please,
Ms.
Mr.
Edwards, you now have the ability to unmute yourself. So if you'd like to give some comments, if you press *6, you will unmute your phone. Again, that was *6.
Thank you. Hello.
Good evening, Ms. Edwards. Welcome to the council meeting.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything you'd like to tell us about your business?
Sure. I have worked in Woodbury, Minnesota for the last 10 years. I started off as a registered nurse and realized that hands-on therapy was more my passion. So really just moving locations into Maplewood. I love the area and kind of focusing on rehab massage therapy for those that have been in car accidents and workers' comp injuries. Does anybody have any questions for me at all?
Thank you. We're going to do a round robin and give the council members an opportunity to ask any questions, either of you or Ms. Sint. Councilmember Knutson.
No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Cave.
Just a comment. I think this is a great business to bring to Maplewood, and welcome to our neck of the woods.
Thank you.
Councilmember Juniman.
What she said, you've taken a step up in the world to come to Maplewood. Welcome.
Okay. Hearing no further questions, council members, is there a motion?
I motion to approve the massage center license for Live Active Therapy located at 2785 White Bear Avenue North, Suite 107.
Second.
I second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Juniman. The motion to approve the massage center license for Live Active Therapy located at 2785 White Bear Avenue North, Suite 107. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then let's move to a vote. Councilmember Knutson.
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Welcome, Ms. Edwards, to Maplewood.
Thank you all.
Thank you. We have one more item tonight. It is our climate adaptation plan. Mr. Thompson, our Community Development Director, this is your report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item is really a follow-up to your workshop that we held at your last meeting on May 10th. At that workshop, Ted Redmond with Pale Blue Dot and representative on the city's Environmental and Natural Resources Commission presented a fairly detailed PowerPoint presentation on the planning work that the city has done over the last 18 months for the climate adaptation plan. I won't go through all the details of it and everything that was covered in that workshop meeting, but just in general, the climate adaptation plan is a plan that outlines specific strategies and actions to protect people and places by reducing their vulnerabilities associated with impacts from climate change. Over the past 18 months, the plan has been developed and vetted by a planning team that's comprised not only of city staff from many departments, but also community members, outside agencies, including Xcel Energy, the Watershed District, Ramsey County, and then also Councilmember Juniman served on that, as well as a number of ENR commissioners. There was community engagement included in part of the plan. There were 2 community meetings and online surveys that were done throughout that guided the work of that planning team and the final deliverable that's before you this evening. Just a couple of things we did look at after the workshop meeting in response to some of the council's comments in the meeting, and that's specifically around implementation. And so really this plan is meant to kind of relate to and be in tandem with a lot of the other policy documents that the city has adopted and work to achieve some of those objectives. So for example, in the city's 2040 comprehensive plan, there are themes throughout that around resiliency, sustainability, and greenhouse gas emission reduction goals. And so this is kind of as part of that, just a more fine-grained plan for implementation on some of those larger strategies that were adopted in the comp plan. In terms of responsibilities for implementation, it's probably both end. Certainly, Sean Finwall, as the city's environmental planner, will play a key role in kind of guiding the implementation of it. But we also see the green team as being a good internal organization to help shepherd and guide the implementation of each of the actions. And the green team is kind of an internal group within the city. It's kind of interdepartmental, so every department has a representative on the team to work towards some of the city's green and sustainability strategies internally, and to promote those and kind of champion those throughout the organization and all of our different functions. And then certainly the ENR Commission plays a significant role as the advisory board on environmental and sustainability initiatives. And ultimately the council, if there's any sort of actions that are policy related or certainly of course financial or related to the actions of the council, all of those will come forth back before the council on those pertinent actions. So in terms of next steps, what we're requesting tonight is just final approval of the plan. That just kind of wraps up the 18 months of planning behind the work, and then allows us to submit it to the PCA, we are the recipient of a grant from the PCA to fund 100% of the work for this plan. And so with the adoption this evening, we'll submit it to the PCA in June and go from there. So with that, Mayor and Council, I'm happy to answer any questions on this action here this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Let's see if Council has any questions. I know that we spent quite a bit of time at our previous meeting talking about this earlier in May. So let's start with Mr. Knutson. Councilmember Knutson, do you have any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Thompson, do I really have to move a foot south every day?
Would be a good idea.
No, this is a very impressive plan. I think, to use it as a filter for everything we decide in the long run and the short run is really going to be important. It's as disappointing as the whole climate change is. This creates a real actionable plan that's livable. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Knutson. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Thank you. I have no questions. I look forward to seeing how we use this plan in the future.
Thank you. Councilmember Cave.
No questions.
Councilmember Juniman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank again everyone who worked on the committee. This is hours and hours and hours of input. And the fact there are actually implementation strategies that we can start to act on. And excuse me, I agree with Councilmember Knudsen that this is a good thing to have as we move forward, no matter what we're working on. And as you saw in the report, it's meant to basically walk step by step through the comprehensive plan as well as the capital improvements plan. And under the plan framework, I hope everyone noticed the organizational goals of this, because I think it tells you everything that climate resiliency will demand. And so I think we have a good start, and I think there's some low-hanging fruit that we can get to fairly soon. But all of the implementation strategies are doable over time if we just plan ahead. And excuse me, I will just remind people once again that we've already had some issues with things like that this might have helped us with years ago, when we had some unexpected flooding of properties, not because we hadn't planned appropriately to what we knew before, but we didn't have this information so we could plan better. Stormwater management becomes ever more important in this. And also, I think the interesting part about this is the local food and agriculture, because it tells you that our compromised populations are going to need to be attended to if climate change continues at the rate it's going now. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Councilmember Juniman. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the climate adaptation plan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave, the motion to approve the climate adaptation plan. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then let's take a vote. Councilmember Knudsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well.
Once
Thank you,
again, Maplewood moves forward. Yoo-hoo.
Yes, we do. Just one comment that I would like to make. It's one thing to adopt a climate adaptation plan. It's another to begin implementation. Now, the plan is, as I've said before, it's very thorough, very complete. It's obviously something that we have not budgeted for. And so we need to start looking at that as we move into budgeting times as to what we can begin to do. But I think that, as Councilmember Juniman indicated, there is some low-lying fruit, some things that are included in the plan that we could be accomplishing now without making any budgetary changes. So I would, Ms. Coleman, how could we start working on those kinds of things?
Thank you, Mayor. I think what I'd like to do is suggest that perhaps Jeff Thompson and Audra Robbins and myself meet to just kind of do an overview of what are the things that we think we can do internally with existing staff. And as you mentioned, kind of look for those easy wins, things that we can do without spending too many resources. And then move into maybe what it would take and what kind of time frame it would take to ramp up for any additional staffing needs. So I would suggest that you give myself and staff some time to work through that, and we'll report back to you at one of our meetings about where we've landed and where we think we can begin.
That is excellent. I think the council would be anxious to hear that as well. So we can look for that sometime during the summer.
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember Juniman, did you have something?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I think also that the ENR Commission can be pulled in at some point to talk about the things that they're able to start helping implement, so that, you know, we don't have to have necessarily a lot of staff time on some things. We just need input, and some of it can be done by volunteers. And the ENR people, that's one of the reasons they're here. So at some point after we hear from Manager Coleman and what they've come up with, then we could have some kind of a work around with the ENR Commission.
Thank you for that suggestion. Okay, with that, council members, we have concluded our agenda. Let's do our last round robin for the night. for any closing remarks you'd like to make. Councilmember Knudsen.
It's, like you said, Mayor, it's refreshing to not wear a mask, although I didn't mind it that much. Some of the interesting things I think about, though, is when I go up north, some of the slugs that rejected and wouldn't wear a mask, I wouldn't frequent their businesses. Now I got to think through, do I go back or do I continue to punish? But we'll see. But it's just one of those thoughts I'm sure a lot of people will have.
Thank you. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say as we end May and it's the end of AAPI Heritage Month, I want to say thanks, Mayor, for going to the Filipino Center of Minnesota. It's a great place, and I'm excitedly anticipating going back there because they're waiting for having a ramp to be able to go on to the other levels of the building. As many people know, it's a very old building and it didn't have a working elevator in it. And so that's very exciting. And I also want to give a big thanks to the police department here in Maplewood. I got the awesome opportunity to do a ride along last week, and I rode along with Officer Aubrey Stock, and she just gave me a really great experience, and it was a very eye-opening situation that I will be analyzing and thinking about for a very long time. So thank you, Officer Stock and the rest of the police department.
Thank you, Councilmember. I know I have done ride-alongs as well, and they certainly are valuable. And eye-opening is a good way to describe them too. We've got a great police department. I'm looking forward to doing another one here soon, post-pandemic. My last one was right before the pandemic hit. So, Councilmember Cave.
No questions, thanks.
Okay, Councilmember Juniman.
Well, I imagine you know what I'm going to say. This has been a great night environmentally for us once again. Starting out with the announcement of the award at the beginning, and then the acceptance of our climate adaptation plan. And we can't go anywhere but up. And I do think it's going to be easier than people might think, because it is in kind of hand in hand with the comp plan. And the comp plan is taken into account with every new project we see. So I think this has potential to start becoming part of our process. And I think we have summer right now, but I think they say next week we're going to have spring again. So, you never know. Variety's the spice of life.
It is Minnesota after all.
Yes.
Thank you, council members. Thank you, staff, for all of your help in putting this meeting together and doing the very important business of the city. So with that, we are adjourned. Good night, council members. Good night, staff.
Good night, everyone.
Right.